Twende. Oya, twende. Oya, twendeni.
Kupotea naye.
Twendeni bana.
Ni wakati wa sisi wa mama.
Ni wakati wa kupunguza bei ya stima.
Oya buda, twende.
Buda, twende tukashukishe bei ya mafuta.
Twendeni bana. Oya majamaa. Twendeni.
Bei ya chakula kimepanda. Na ndio maana sisi sote tunaenda kuishukisha.
Boss, siogope. Mko wengi eh?
Maji kwa kila boma.
Bei ya unga ishuke.
6,000 mfukoni.
To make all this happen, get out and vote. Vote Azimio Blue. Vote Baba and Martha. Get out to vote. Vote Blue.
Bei ya mkate hawajui, na biashara zetu wameharibu zote.
Wameshikana waumize masikini, na wamama wetu wanazalia barabarani.
Ameuza mayai, huyu atatuelewa. Anajua shida, huyu atatuelewa. Hassan ndio wetu, ndio wetu, ndio wetu. Hassan ndio wetu, ndio wetu, ndio wetu huyu.
Welcome to the conversation. My name is Likuyani Eli and you're watching The President We Want Decision 2020. Finally, we can say the election fever is on and we will be deciding who is going to hold the highest office in the land. As we start this conversation, I want you to join us in the comment section with the hashtag election 2022. I want to start all the way in the US with the Maurice, who tells me, Eli, hapa siasa tumechapa, but we still need to have a conversation. Good evening, Maurice, and how are you tonight?
Good evening, Eli. I'm good. Actually, it's morning over here. Doing good.
You people will be telling us that the tally in US is still waiting, so we cannot announce the election. But kindly introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, Maurice Ndole, based in Fresno, California. I am the publisher of Hot Seat News and the owner and CEO of Ndole Media Group. I lost your sound.
Pardon me. I am happy to have you this evening because we are going to have a great conversation, and good morning to you once again. Of course, we will not have this conversation without one and only Newton Kamasi. Good evening, Newton. How are you from Nairobi?
Good evening to you, Eli. You're doing well.
How is Nairobi and how was your day so far? You have been on the ground and you must have experienced a lot. Tell us.
Nairobi is great. Today was a great day, although it was very busy because we had almost 6 meetings to finalize on our final lap for today. And we are grateful that finally we are here. And yes, the campaign period is closed. I don't know if the same timelines affect our friend from California.
Well, we are
But on our side, on our side, we have closed the campaigns, and yes, we leave everything now to God and to the Kenyan voter.
Well, I think
sir.
you people have been praying a lot, and Maurice
Yes.
probably knows why. Let's just say we can't have this conversation without getting what exactly the diaspora electorate thinks about these elections and how the campaigns have been conducted so far. I have with me Margaret Rulhoff, all the way in Germany. Good evening, Margaret. Kindly to Salimir.
Good evening, Eli. My name is Margaret Rulhoff. I live in Darmstadt, Germany. I'm an epidemiologist working in pharmaceutical and clinical research. I have been mobilizing voters in the EU and the Scandinavia. And so we are very happy that finally we're done and we're hoping for the best. And I would just love to encourage voters to come out in numbers and vote.
You say you will be encouraging voters to come out in large numbers, and I believe that is from the diaspora. But let's get straight into the conversation. Today we had a fiesta, or rather, should I call it a jamboree happening in Nairobi, because the Azimio team was busy pitching tent at the Kasarani. And we had the Kenya Kwanza team very busy at Nyayo. Let's just start and find out. Newton, did you have access or did you have to fight your way into Nyayo Stadium?
I told you.
Newton. Okay, go ahead now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah. So as I was saying, yes, we were granted access to Nyayo Stadium, and we are grateful for that. We did our meeting. And yes, apart from that, we had several other several meetings across the country in 6 counties. So yes, we did well and we had a great day.
Awesome. It's good to hear that report because Maurice last night was a bit worried man, hoping you will not be starting fights as we head into the election period. Maurice, what's your take? I know it's still morning. You're still taking in the news from all the way in California. But do you think you were able to convince the electorate today that you deserve that house on the hill?
Oh yeah. I think the Azimio team and led by the Honorable Raila Odinga was very persuasive. He made a case for why he wants to be president. He was very clear. There was a big crowd, very excited crowd with vuvuzelas and everybody. So it was a jubilant occasion, and I think we've made it very clear. And also have to note that Newton did not have any problems getting to Nyayo Stadium like he was alluding yesterday. So Newton, I'm glad that you are able to get your rally, and I assure you, Azimio has nothing to do with blocking you from getting access to anything.
Thank you so much for your opening remarks. And let me start with you, Margaret. Margaret, we have had almost 90 days, open days for campaigning and pushing for whoever candidates people have been looking forward to elect as their president. Do you feel as diaspora electorate, because you've been a great mobilizer, do you feel that these campaigns have been fairly run and probably we might just have the best candidate coming out of it?
I feel that the campaigns have really been done well in Kenya, but not in the diaspora. Once again, the diaspora has been neglected. And we hope that with the next government, incoming government, and when they finally give us an opportunity to vote more, then we are able to reach more voters, because as it is, the electorate in the diaspora were very demotivated because it's not easy to talk to somebody who feels that their rights to voting has been infringed. So if they actually implement or enact the provision of the Constitution and provide the diasporans with more, not provide them, but actually ensure they get their rights to vote, then we would have more campaigns. I mean, there were campaigns going on, but for both candidates, I think they lost out because the diaspora, the majority of the diaspora, were thinking that really it's not relevant to them because they're not able to vote. Nevertheless, we went ahead and mobilized Kenyans back home. So we did this, and we really had a very good campaign, and mobilizing the people in the villages through WhatsApp groups, and the people who are going back in Kenya, and just trying to mobilize, to sensitize them and tell them how important it is. So the campaigns were good, but it would have been better if the diasporans themselves were also registered and could also feel like part of the campaign. We had just yesterday a huge number of students in Hungary complaining, and really it was sad to hear them say that they weren't informed that they could actually register in Berlin. So they thought they would register in Austria, which was not the case. So they were left out, and it's really sad to see people say, we would have loved to vote, but we cannot vote. So this is what's going on. And the Scandinavia, for example, they have no polling station or registration station at all. So they're like just been made to be an audience to this, yet they have a right that's enshrined in the Constitution to vote. So that's what I think was missing, because people were really demotivated. They would be more motivated if they knew I have my voting card, or I'm going to vote. So, but otherwise they feel really neglected by the laws of the country, not the laws, but the enactment of those laws. Yeah.
Enactment of those laws is what you're mentioning, and you passionately speak about the diaspora. I don't know if Maurice, you share the same sentiments with Margaret, because you've been observing this from an international space as a journalist and as as a responsible reporter for that matter. Do you feel that somehow the diaspora has been neglected in how this process has been carried out?
Yes, I believe so. I agree with Margaret 100%. The diaspora, we need a better approach to enable the diaspora to vote. It's a big struggle. Part of my responsibility, I'm also a community leader in the California area, and I'm part of the Kenya Diaspora Forum, which agitated for the diaspora to vote, and we did a lot of mobilization in that area. And we've seen some movement, but the outreach, the communication, and all the things that are required to make things happen and to change, to give us the access that is needed, is lacking. And that is something that we need to improve on for 2027. And IBC should do a better job there.
Great. I will end that conversation there, but let's now get back to what happened today. We saw a lot of crowds in Nairobi, in jubilation of what has happened. Newton, you feel these campaigns were fairly conducted? Do you feel either parties was accorded the help they needed to make sure they had a great and successful campaign?
From where I am, my thoughts are this. From Kenya Kwanza, we feel, yes, the elections were good, but there are some issues that needs to be raised. But on the positive side, one thing we have really managed to bring out is issue-based politics, because previous elections have just been based on tribal lines, tribal affiliations and all that. But this time round, you can see with a lot of clarity that at least that common person down there is being discussed by the big politicians. And that is a transformation. That is a step we have made forward. Whatever case it goes, it will go in history as an election where issues were being addressed, not just politics of tribe, politics of this versus this, 41 versus 1, 42 versus... Those politics are long gone. And as a country, I think we have this election period has given us an opportunity to see politics from a different angle. And another aspect from Kenya Kwanza, I feel like this election has given us an opportunity to realize that not always will the elected leaders solve the problems of the Kenyan person, unless they go to that Kenyan person and understand their needs. Because as we have said in our campaigns, simple, my problems as Newton cannot be the same problems with the Hoka. The problems of Tabitha of Keroche cannot be the same problems with a tout in Kakamega County. It cannot be the same with a farmer in Mumia's Sugar Company. They can never be the same. So from where we sit as Kenya Kwanza, we believe that we have brought out that aspect of listening to the Mwananchi, listening to the person first, and then giving solutions based on their needs. Because yes, you build an expressway, but the person at Gikomba who brings in his stock, maybe through the airport or maybe through the train and all that, accessing that expressway is difficult because the expressway is restricted to personalized cars. So there are some things that we need to look into and solve based on the needs, not just because we want to promise Kenyans good things. No, we need to look at the needs of these Kenyans. Where do they feel pinched? Where do they need solution to? Then something else I will really like to note is we have had a lot of state interference in this election period process. And my belief, my thoughts are that moving forward as a country, we learn from this election that we can have a free, fair election guided by the IBC, which is supposed to be a free and fair body, independent in mind, not under influence of any state agency. Because we have seen, honestly, having a president supporting a particular candidate distorts the sense of competition between two candidates or three or four candidates who have presented their candidature to the common Kenyan. And therefore, I believe as Kenya Kwanza that moving forward, when Kenya Kwanza is elected or Azimio on the other side is elected, let us move forward as a country that looks forward to be independent in mind. Let us give people equal opportunities. Let us give everyone a chance to present their needs, regardless of the state interference. But something else I want to note, Ellie, is that in today's rallies, considering that the two leading presidential candidates were giving their closing remarks, and something that was very key was the reconciliation tone that we witnessed, not only from us, Kenya Kwanza, but also Azimio. You heard Raila Odinga say, if I love Kenya more than I love myself, that is the patriotism we want. And let it not just be words, because you see, politicians are hard of just promising words or saying things and then they don't implement them. But we believe that this election is going to be a changing tone, a changing style, whereby we'll see someone concede. And you see, conceding does not mean that you don't pursue other legal means, like going to the Supreme Court and all that. But the reconciliation tone that was witnessed today from both ends shows that, yes, as a country, we are maturing in democracy, apart from the small hitches. And yes, it has been an exciting journey. Yes, it was a marathon. And even today, you saw a presidential candidate leaving Nyayo Stadium and running all the way to Wilson, just to take the chopper to the next last meeting that happened in Kiambu Kirigiti.
Okay, thank you, Newton. That's such a lengthy but very, I love the points you've brought out, and that's why I now need to engage Maurice. Maurice, first of all, any reactions to that specific issues that your friend Newton has raised?
Yeah, Newton, I do agree. There was a conciliatory tone from the Azimio side, but not so much from the Kenya Kwanza side. The Kenya Kwanza side, Ruto actually said that nitaita rafiki yangu jamaa wa kitandawili na tutakaa chini na yeye tukunywe chai na nitamwambia ile kazi ya opposition atafanya. That's not conciliatory. That was actually insulting. And then he went in and said he started attacking President Uhuru Kenyatta and told him that, mimi tumefanya kazi mzuri na wewe lakini unajua nitafanya kazi mzuri kukushinda. So, his closing argument was very bitter. And those are the kind of things that what people say that Ruto brings in a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger in the Kenya Kwanza campaign. And contrast that with the Raila. He did not qualify his handshake. He said he's going to sit down and shake hands with the win or lose. He's going to shake hands with Ruto. He did not qualify it. He did not try to mock him. There's certain parts of the speech, where he kind of contrasted Azimio with Kenya Kwanza, which is expected. But he did not, in the part where he was talking about conciliation and bringing unity in the country, he did not qualify it. He did not become coy with what he was saying. And that is the big difference. Okay, we need a leader who is willing and humble to ask for the vote without inciting people into thinking a certain way. And you see Ruto, when he started that campaign, when he started his closing argument today, he was acting like a preacher. Those are manipulative behavior. We are not electing him to be the Pope. If he wants to be the Pope, he needs to go and apply to at the Vatican and maybe become a cardinal and wait for the white smoke to come out of the chimney. Okay, so when you have a politician who's running for president and he comes out and he starts to start the campaign by acting as if he's the only one who's been anointed by God, those manipulative behavior and those kind of things are not acceptable. So nice try. His speech was rambling. He was very forceful. I can just admit that his style was pretty awesome, bombastic and all. But it was rambling. It was all over the place. He was saying things that he'd never said before. For the first time, to his credit, I heard him talk about corruption. I didn't think he knew how to say that word, but today he actually talked about corruption. And I hope that now that the Azimio government is likely to take over, he's going to cooperate with Azimio so that we can stamp out corruption. I was really concerned that we are going to get to August 9th without him actually talking about corruption in a meaningful way. So it was a very disappointing closing argument from the Deputy President.
Right, Maurice, thank you so much. I think Newton is noting a lot of notes to come back at you, but I will ease the tension and bring in this fair lady, rather Margaret, to come in and give her remarks. Margaret, we are headed to the 9th polls. We like it or not, 2 days away, and we shall be voting. People have expectations. Maurice has talked about disappointment, but do we have any lingering disappointments forthcoming as electorates?
Yes, we do. And if you may allow me, before I get to that issue, there's one point I picked from Newton that I would really like to just point out. We had in the past the late President Daniel Arap Moi backing Uhuru. And people my age know how powerful President Daniel Arap Moi was. So I think the idea, or to say that Uhuru backing Raila Odinga is really not a new thing. It isn't. Of course, Uhuru is in government, but we have another presidential candidate who's actually a VP. And so I find it just to be fair, just look at both sides and say, of course, the power is divided. So you cannot talk about Uhuru being in government and supporting Azimio, but leave out the fact that Ruto is also in government and act like this is happening for the first time, yet our very powerful late President Daniel Arap Moi actually backed Uhuru. And in that year, we saw that Uhuru lost. So I think it's not fair to really give too much weight to the fact that Uhuru is backing up Raila at this moment. I think we need to be objective and stay by the facts. So getting back to you, Eli, I'm sorry that I took some time. So you were talking about the expectations that people have. Yes, we as diasporans have the expectations that the voting process will be improved so that the diasporans can really be able to register and vote, and their voices can be heard. We also need to have a representation in the government. And this is the only way that the constitutional provision can be enacted. So this means we really need also diasporans who can look at the needs of the of ours here. So now, of course, there are people who are very emotional about the results. And so here, I think we should collectively manage our expectations and realize that both candidates are still heavyweight, So whether Azimio or UDA wins, the other candidate remains very strong in the Kenyan government. So really, no matter what happens, we should really try to look at it like, okay, well, it's a phenomenon. At the moment, we are currently, maybe for the first time in a long time, going to have a strong opposition, whatever that is. But we should manage our expectations and not be too emotional when things do not go our way. We should really also understand that even though both parties were talking about issue-based politics, and it's good to note that politics is sometimes about negotiations. You can come in and say, well, I'm going to do this, but when we actually get to the position whereby the cabinet positions are being distributed, you find that sometimes your candidate is not going to really do what they were supposed to do. Not that they don't want to do it, but the expectation is just a different one. So people should really manage their expectations and look at the timeline. So when these candidates are saying you're going to do this, they need a timeline until when they're going to do it. And so my take-home message to everyone is just no matter what happens, you have to be peaceful. You cannot, especially to the diasporans, you cannot sit in the diaspora and tweet or just send out inflammatory messages, while back home, you know what can happen. And we also have to remember, because many people do not remember, that the shilling, the Kenya shilling, hasn't recovered since 2007, post-electoral violence. So if you look at it from that point of view, we really have to be careful and check what is really, really going on and which directions do you want to take, which government do you want in. So what's eating up the Kenyan government at the moment of population is actually corruption. So we really need to fight corruption. And if you fight corruption, you're going to get diasporans coming in to invest. Diasporans fear investing because they actually fear that their investments are not safe. And I have really watched those politicians, and the only person that I saw talking about safeguarding the diaspora investment was our very powerful lady, Iron Lady Martha Karua. And of course, together with Honorable Raila Odinga. But you need to understand that the diaspora out there really can come and connect with Kenya if corruption is fought. And apart from that, the Kenyan citizens are really also suffering back home there because of corruption itself. And I don't need to define. We have a very corrupt system where, I mean, it's not only the government or officials, but even the citizens, they've been brought up knowing to chai, where the chai means Jomo Kenyatta's head is floating on that a cup of tea. What they mean is something different. So really, we need to try and move the country in a better direction. And just to repeat myself, the Kenyan shilling has never recovered since 2007. That's massive. That's massive. Thank you.
That's massive, and the economics are the issue. Maurice, you want to go before I allow Newton?
Yeah, let me. Yeah, I just want to point out something Margaret just reminded me. Besides the very good points that you have made there, but I want to go back to something Newton said, that Uhuru Kenyatta should have stayed away from the election. That is the most absurd argument that Kenya Kwanza makes over and over again. I don't know why they would say something like that. It's Obama is just telling Obama he should not have supported Biden. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And so the problem though is this time Ruto had a falling out with Kenyatta. So because he had a falling out with Kenyatta, he was so upset because he knew the power that Kenyatta is going to bring, which has actually proven right, because Kenyatta has actually given Raila Odinga access to Mount Kenya, which he didn't have before. So Kenyatta came first, gave him access, made Martha Karua very comfortable to be in Raila's camp, and now they are splitting the vote in Mount Kenya. So Kenya Kwanza is upset by that. Originally, a lot of these Kenya Kwanza people, including Mudavadi and Mutua, they thought that that Uhuru was going to betray Raila. So they had this forward looking that, oh, let's just go over to Kenya Kwanza and be with Ruto, so that when Uhuru betrays Raila and joins us, we're going to get the benefits and be in government. But they were so surprised, and now they're acting out because Raila was not betrayed by Uhuru. The handshake was real. So that's a testament that actually Uhuru Kenyatta is a man of his word. So, and it also brings credibility to what Kenyatta is saying about Ruto, that he's an untrustworthy man. He has seen him up close and personal. So if your boss is telling people that you are not a good person to work because he has seen you work, then Kenyans should believe him.
Newton, there's a lot of kicks coming your way. Anything in defense of Kenya Kwanza?
Not really in defense, but what I can say is if you realize that whatever you're doing does not attract the naysayers, then know you are on the wrong side of doing things. You should turn and change. But if kicks are being thrown your way, just know you're doing the right thing. Some things I want to clarify here. One, we don't in any way support the state supporting a presidential candidate who is a competitor to our candidate, William Ruto. That one, we stand firm by it, because one, yes, I appreciate whatever Maurice has said. In the US, Obama supported Biden, but he did that as an individual. In the Kenyan system, the way it is, if the president says left, all the civil servants who are under the presidency will go right. So what we are saying is this: the president has his democratic right. Article 38 of this constitution says very clearly that you have every Kenyan has a constitutional right to support any other person politically. But what we are saying is the misuse of state resources and the state components like the civil service. You'll see what Matiang'i does, the CS for Interior, what PS Kibicho does as the PS for Interior, are all linked and intertwined by the command they get from the presidency. And this is why our presidential candidate, William Ruto, has been categorical and clear that corruption cannot be fought on the podiums, on the political rallies. That is why he has never commented on fighting corruption on the streets. Because one thing I can tell you, Maurice and Margaret, is this. Today, we might elect Raila Odinga. But if we don't solve the institutional challenges that are there in the DCI, that are there in the Public Prosecution Office, that are there in the judiciary, then Raila will finish his 5 years without even prosecuting one single case of corruption. And that is why William Ruto has been very categorical. If he becomes the president, he will strive to make sure that these institutions perform their duties. I want to challenge Maurice. In the United States, if a president does a wrong, he can be arrested, he can be charged, and he'll be made to vacate office. But here in this country, the president of the Republic of Kenya is immune to these charges. Under our constitution, it is a protection they have. And that is why William Ruto is very clear in saying, look, this corruption menace, you have heard the president himself, a president, saying 2 billion is lost every day. Where does this billion go to? Even the other day, we were having a discussion with my fellow youth leaders, and we were like, okay, if you tell us that 2 billion gets lost every day, and you cannot track this 2 billion, and you're the president, does that mean that you are also a beneficiary of that 2 billion money that is lost? And that is why William Ruto has been categorical and said, this fight against corruption is not just on the president. It is supposed to be institutionalized, whereby we have a judiciary that is working, that is independent and working. We have a DCI that is independent and working. We have the police service that is independent and working. We have the prosecution that is independent of the presidency. But what do we see in this country? If you're on the wrong side of the law, or not of the law, of the state, then you become a criminal. If you jump on the other side, you become a saint. And those are the things that William Ruto has continuously said, that under his government, he's going to ensure that no one is above the law, including himself as the president. Because you cannot be a president. You call on the CS Interior and tell him, look, I want this person sacked. I want this person sacked. Because they're not doing things the way they want. And again, you'll see the same thing. You can see the statements that are coming from state officers. The PS Kibicho, the CS Interior, Matiang'i, comes and tells Kenyans, look, William Ruto, the deputy president, has accused us of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you go ahead and state that he has no evidence to substantiate this, because the deputy president is not a madman to come and say that the state is interfering with these things. We have all the proof, we have all the records, but again, who are we presenting them to? We are presenting them to the president.
Yeah.
And again, something else we just pointed out today is simple. One, you say Raila Odinga is purporting to lead people to Canaan. But how can you lead people to Canaan and yet you are in talks and conversation with Pharaoh? It can never be. It's like leading your people to a death trap. And that is something that we need to really, really condemn. Because as a country, we cannot have the state supporting a particular candidate. Honestly, until when will the Kenyan people make their voice heard? You commented on the issue of 2002. When Moi supported Uhuru Kenyatta, he gave Uhuru Kenyatta the state resources. And he was so powerful. But at the end of the day, people voted against him. And they voted unanimously. If they voted for Uhuru Kenyatta because of that, because of the state resources, what will have happened? And that is why we are saying this year's election, despite whatever Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is supporting, the people of Kenya are going to make a voice through the ballot, not through war. And I agree with my sister Margaret. Honestly speaking, the only currency to a successful country is peace. Without peace, there is no economic growth. Without peace, the currency that she's talking about will not sustain. So in simple terms, what I'm saying is, yes, please.
Can I ask you something? Sorry, Maurice, I just have one question to him. Because if you say that Moi, and you also agree with me, was very powerful, supported Uhuru, but this did not really bear fruit. So why are you insinuating that Uhuru supporting Raila at this moment is a very, very big issue? And you remember, or you know, that Ruto is having a second term. Are you trying to tell us that the state capture, or the things that you're actually claiming now, these are the instruments that Ruto used? Because he has to know them from somewhere. Because you cannot from one point say, because I remember when people are saying, yote aweze kana bila Moi, that did not happen. And really, factually, Moi is more powerful than Uhuru Kenyatta. So aren't you contradicting yourself? Because you see and you said Moi supported Uhuru, the people did not buy it. So even now, the people will not buy it. So you cannot give weight now to Uhuru supporting Raila, yet you know very well that Moi did the same and it had no effect. And besides, when these people are going for a second term, they're also in the government. I'm just trying to understand and point out the contradiction there. So Maurice,
okay, Margaret. Let
me add on to what Marge is saying there, and then you can respond, Newton.
Yes.
Marge has made a very, very good illustration that Moi was very powerful. He supported Uhuru. Nothing happened. I'm going to add on to that. Ruto benefited from the state machinery in 2017. He's in pictures with Matiang'i campaigning state machinery against Raila Odinga. So we have the example of Moi and Uhuru Kenyatta. And then we have example of Ruto actually relishing the benefits of the state machinery, especially with Matiang'i himself. And we have not even started talking about the broken promises that he made to people. Can you respond to the contradiction you're putting here?
There's no contradiction, Maurice and Margaret. What I'm saying is this. One, the state cannot be involved in the politics of our country at this time and juncture.
But the state was involved in 2017 when Ruto was running against Raila, Ruto and Uhuru. How come that's a problem? Then it was good when you were benefiting from it, but now it's bad?
Yes, there is something.
Newton, we can't hear you. If you can check that, please.
It was not good, because one thing you can remember, President. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I think we'll have to do a check on that, Newton.
Can you hear me?
Then come back on us. If you can do a check on that, please, Newton. Meanwhile, for everybody that is joining us, thank you so much. We are having a great conversation here with, of course, Margaret Rulhop, all the way in Germany, and Maurice Ndole from Ndole Media, all the way in the CA, USA. I see quite some conversations happening here, so keep them coming. Naomi Wanjugu, Frederick Mugo, and of course, Noreen, they keep the conversation going in the comment section, but I'll come to them later on. For now, we are discussing the events that have happened. We have had a very, very engaging campaign period. And finally, we can say we are headed to the 9th August elections. What lies ahead and what are these kind of expectations that Kenyans should manage? But let me start with you once again, Ndole. Let me see if Newton is there. Newton, can you hear me once again? Can you hear me, sir? Yeah. Okay, I think we'll have to do the thing we did last night with you, Newton, and then you'll come back to us. So, Maurice, we have a situation that we have campaigned, we have had exchanges of words and all that. But what stays is we will definitely go to vote. As we vote, we have expectations as Kenyans. As we vote, we need to create changes. My question to you, Maurice, is, are Kenyans ready for the changes, or are the changes ready for Kenyans?
I think it's a little bit of both. Kenyans have been yearning for change for a very long time. I mean, we cannot understate this. People are suffering. People are suffering in Kenya. Okay, the lack of jobs, high prices, inflation, the pandemic impact, the impact of the war from the invasion in the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So there is a lot of suffering in Kenya, and people are asking the government to intervene and come and help them. Okay, so the next government is gonna be will have its hands full in actually reaching out to Kenyans where they are and giving them all the necessary support. And as in the diaspora, we've been playing our role, sending our remittances, which is equivalent to employment of hundreds of thousands of people, $4 billion. And I think with a good government, and if we tackle corruption, we can be able to support even better. So I think Kenyans are ready for change, and the government that comes in better be ready to provide that change to them, or they're not going to get another mandate in 5 years.
With Raila seemingly springing out of the woods to become possibly the next president, or probably we will say, what do you call this Kenya Kwanza gentleman here? Newton will say it will be the own president, that is Ruto. Do we feel we're going to have a very strong opposition and government at the same time?
That's to me or Newton?
Any of you could take that. Margaret, you want to take that?
Maybe we can give Newton a chance. He's come back on and hasn't spoken. We were speaking when he was away. Is that all right?
Great. Newton? Oh, Newton, we are struggling. We can't get you, sir.
Yeah, so
you might need to have a normal insert for your microphone and then come back. Yes.
So yeah, I think what was the question? I forgot the question.
We have very strong teams going,
the opposition,
and that is obvious. So, it's very obvious who's gonna make government and the minority. Are we looking into a very, very balanced government, both from the minority and the majority? And is this a blessing in disguise for the Kenyan electorate?
Yeah, I'm curious about how it's going to play out in the next election, because the Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio are very big coalitions. So I don't know how that is going to play out, because it's going to be very difficult to keep those unified, those coalition parties unified under the same umbrella, especially if they're not in government. There's going to be a lot of jostling to negotiate with the government, the team that wins, and then that's what's going to form the leadership of Kenya. So I'm a little bit concerned about how the opposition is going to play out because of that. I hope that the government that's going to take over, which is, I believe, is going to be Azimio, because they have the better platform. I hope they'll be able to put together all those constituent parties in one voice and be able to run the government as a unit. The last thing we want to see is the Ruto split, the kind of split we had with the President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. So I am optimistic, but also curious how that's going to play out.
Optimistic and curious. Newton, do you feel optimistic that we will have a great government, both minority and majority? Okay, I think Kenya Kwanza team, if we can get your audio again.
So as you wait for him, I can say, like, for the first time ever, we had issue-based politics. At least it appeared to be so. So my hope is that both parties could actually try to implement, or even really show the Kenyans how far they've gotten with doing it. So even if opposition is coming in and say, you guys are not doing what you're supposed to do, but it's just issue-based critique, and not, we have how many MPs there, we're looking for what, you want a vote of no confidence because you don't like this person. I'd rather see a scenario whereby somebody's saying, now, the healthcare, it's not working because you people who took over the government are not doing ABC. We suggested CD. And what about if you implement it? And I'd rather they have a conflict because the issues are not being addressed. So I'm hoping that this is what is going to be the case. But just like Maurice, I'm also curious to see how this is going to happen. And I hope that, given that all the two are big coalitions, I hope that they're still nevertheless going to function well, whether whatever position they take,
Great. I hope we can get Newton to come back. Newton, I hope you can hear me. Good evening once again. Do we have a final mic check?
Yes. Can you confirm?
Okay. That's great. We are back.
That's good.
We're back.
Welcome back, Newton.
Thank you. Now,
these two need you, even though there are some people who claim you are not equal to the task to face them, because apparently they seem to be coming from one fact called Azimio La Kenya. Are you scared of them? Can you?
No, I'm not scared at all. I'm not scared at all. Actually, I believe it's an easy conversation. One, I want to refer back to 2017. If you recall, the Supreme Court under Maraga nullified the 2017 presidential election because of these irregularities that you can see happening in this election, and that the Kenyan taxpayer will go through after an election is nullified because of a state officer interfering with the elections of this country. It is going to be catastrophic. It's going to be costly. It's going to derail us from achieving even our agenda as Kenya Kwanza, because we have a goal to revitalize the economy. Another bit in regards to 2002. Yes, Moi supported Uhuru Kenyatta. But at the end of the day, you saw Uhuru Kenyatta, who was being supported by William Ruto, concede defeat in that year. We didn't have any chaos. And the country was run well with the Kibaki government. Honestly speaking, we have had even the president, including today in Kirinyaga, he mentioned that we like it or not, Raila and Martha are going to be the president of this republic. Is that the tone that should come from a president who is exercising his democratic right? I don't think so. And I believe Margaret and Morris don't agree with that as well. So basically what we are saying is, let the playing field be levelized. Let us all subject our efforts to the Kenyan voter without any interference from the state. And honestly, look at in 2013. 2013, Kibaki remained silent on who his successor will be. He never came out strongly to support a particular candidate. And yet, remember, at that time, Uhuru Kenyatta was the deputy prime minister. Raila Amolo Odinga was the prime minister. So you can imagine in a situation where Kibaki would have said, I am supporting Raila Amolo Odinga because he's a senior, or Uhuru Kenyatta because he's a deputy prime minister. What I'm trying to imply here is this. As a country, we need to be progressive. We don't need to be stagnant in history. And that is something that our fellow Azimio guys are failing to run from. Raila has contested for 4 previous elections. He has lost them because of this state interference in all his attempts to the presidency. Now, when right now he has the state, he feels like the other person does not deserve a fairness playing ground. Honestly, that is hypocrisy. And that is why we are saying, as Kenya Kwanza, let there be a level playing ground. Raila Amolo Odinga has been a person who has gone through the pains of state stopping him from being the president. And another thing I just want to ask, how come Raila Amolo Odinga is comfortable right now with the same IBC that he boycotted an election that was planned for, budgeted for, in tune of billions back in 2017? Then right now, the same IBC is holding an election and is okay with it because he knows he has the state. Is that the country we want to have in the near future, Morris? When you come back to this country and you say you want to get into leadership, do you want to be in a country where today you say this and tomorrow you say that? And that is why William Ruto, again, he has never been the president of this republic. Honestly, since 2017, you can see that he has been denied the chance to be the deputy president, despite him being democratically elected as the deputy president, courtesy of the boycott of Raila Amolo Odinga in 2017, October 26th.
I would like to chime in over there. I think
so what we are saying basically is Uhuru has already
I think we lost Newton.
We are struggling with that technical hitch there from Newton's end, but we must continue with the conversation. You want to come in, Maurice?
Yeah, let me jump in over there. Newton is tripping pretty bad. I mean, there is a saying in Western Kenya which says "Vindu vichenjanga." Okay, so I mean, when things happen, I mean, you change with the times. Okay, Newton, Vindu vichenjanga bwana. So the IBC of 2017 is different in composition, and they've enacted some policies. They've done some improvements here and there. It's not sufficient. I mean, Raila is not running around saying that, yay, the IBC, I'm a big fan. No, he's not doing that. But he has acknowledged some of those improvements. Your argument is so absolutist. Okay, you're making an argument as if somebody cannot change their mind. Okay, your argument about Uhuru supporting Raila is absurd. Okay, you cannot say that the president has no right. He's a Kenyan. Okay, you're also making an assertion that Raila running 5 times is a big deal. Somebody's allowed to run as many times. The Constitution, Section 38, allows Kenyans to run for as many times as they want, as long as they're not termed out. Once Raila has served 2 terms or Ruto has served 2 terms, then he's barred from running again. So that argument, it needs to stop. It's an absurd argument. It does not advance your cause. And then going back to what you're saying about at 2017 and Raila boycotting the elections and stuff like that. He had the conditions. He gave the IBC, those conditions were met. It was very clear, if you don't meet these conditions, I'm not going to participate in the vote. Okay, and those conditions were not met, and he came through with he went through with the promise he gave them that he's not going to participate in the vote. That is very simple. I mean, we want principled leaders. We don't want a leader like Ruto who is collecting a paycheck and is not doing the job. He's the most famous ghost worker we have ever seen in history. Okay, it is unprincipled for you to be in an office, you're occupying the office, sabotaging it from within, and then pretending as if that the office is not working, the government is not working, when you're the one who's not making it work. So we have to move Kenya away from leaders like that. Okay, corruption is a big deal. Today, for the first time, I was elated to hear Ruto talk about corruption. I said, finally, this man has talked about corruption. Okay, if we don't fix corruption, we are going nowhere. And it's not state capture, it's corruption. State capture is a euphemism that is just bringing over there to confuse people so that they don't take a keen look at what he's doing. When somebody is running around for 10 years, giving $2 million every weekend, and not telling you the sources of those monies, nobody does that. That is corruption. Those are sources of corruption. Nobody gives their own money like that. So we have to understand that Kenya is at the verge of collapse right now. If you make the wrong choice, okay, if you make the wrong choice, and we are praying for Kenya, if you make the wrong choice, we're going to have dug a hole that is going to take us years and years to dig out of.
Let's bring this ship home, gentlemen and the lady on set, as we conclude. I want you to give me your closing remark passionately about these elections. What is in for all of us as Kenyans? All said and done. Margaret.
Yes, so as somebody who's really actively mobilized the diaspora to vote or to register also, I'd really like to urge the diasporans who've registered to go and vote. I know that the scenario or the situation was not really good, and nevertheless, we're going to vote for the first time. We hope that in the next 5 years, there's going to be a lot of change that's going to allow us to vote further. So in these elections, what's in for the diaspora is that for the first time, there are leaders that are considering them, even though they're not considering them 5%, but at least it's a beginning. So we are having suggestions of how diaspora can also, or the Kenyan government can tap into the resources of the diaspora. That means that once things are set, we could even, for example, have a ministry of diaspora affairs, which could actually reassure Kenyans in the diaspora who, for example, do not wish to invest back home because they fear the corruption. They do not wish to retire home because they're working as engineers or medical doctors, and they have really issues that they will not work there anymore because of the licensing issues. They want to retire back home, but they don't. They fear because of the health system. They fear that when they get sick, the bills are going to be too high. So, in the provision of diaspora, a ministry of the diaspora, we can articulate these issues, and we can have, for example, we can suggest for the incoming government to, for example, allow a voluntary payment into the NSS National Security Fund. Mm-hmm. Yes. So you find that, so this is something that's good for the diaspora, because you have your pension here in the diaspora, but when you go home and you know that your country has even provided you with this option, you can pay in and you have another pension coming in. We have, for example, also the idea of informing, providing the government with information about how to make life easier for the diaspora. We have people who are qualified in Kenya, and when they come here, they don't know what to do. And so if we have a networking that really explained to them, they would have it easier to actually start working in the diaspora, because it's very unfortunate to have people who have engineering degrees or medical degrees working as taxi drivers. So if we tell the diaspora, no, look, this is a beginning point, let's continue and have our government really look into these issues. So this will motivate the diasporans to really vote more and to register more. So yes, there's a lot of a lot at stake. There's a lot that's interesting for the diaspora, but for that we need to be taken seriously. For example, even in Nigeria, there's an incentive for people who are harvesting, they're not having investing back home. So we need to really be noticed, and we need to say, here we are. Of course, we are human beings, but we are also resources, and we're saying we are selling this, and we want really to tap into that. And to close out, because I see that
yes, I really have to end you, Margaret. We are out of time.
To close, we have progenies in the diaspora. What does that mean? My child and my grandchildren. So people are going to lose them. The diaspora, the Kenyan government is going to lose them if they don't connect to us. And these people, the future generation, they're more qualified than we are. Given the environment that they have, they're more, they even have better skills. So the Kenyan government should really tap into these skills and not, because when they're looking at remittances, we will die at some point, and we die
will
with
die, Margaret. I must end that conversation.
Yes. And the very last one, the very last one. The Kenya, this is important. Now we have CBC. So Kenya previously had 844. So this system is lacking a year of mathematics. You're coming to study in Germany and you're studying something that's math related, you're missing 1 to 2 years of mathematics. I mean, if you talk to people who did the Form 6, they're okay. So we cannot have an educational system that is really not competitive. And I had a presidential candidate talk about this. If I mention the name, somebody will say, yes, you are siding with this person. But no, we have to be fair. Raila Odinga went on and said, we're going to make the educational system competitive. And that will really help, because if you come from Kenya and you want to study, you don't want to be somewhere for 2 years because the math is like Latin to you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Margaret. And very interesting turn of events there, mentioning CBC. For many who are practicing it will say it's the best thing that happened in the Kenyan system, even though with some flaws. But I will let that rest for now. I wouldn't do a follow-up. Maurice.
Yeah, so for me, I think, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for this forum. And I want to say thank you to my brother, Newton. Newton, always a pleasure hanging out with you and having these debates. I hope they're enlightening to the people of Kenya, and we are giving more views from our perspective. But at the end of the day, we are brothers and sisters, we are friends, and we are hoping for a peaceful country. So we are praying for a peaceful election. We've made our case, we've made the campaign promises. You all know where we stand. I urge every Kenyan to go out there and vote for Azimio, Raila Amolo Odinga and Martha Wangari Karua. They have presented a good plan. They are steady leaders with a track record of actually promoting social justice and economic justice. And the 10-point plan that they've presented is very logical and is going to bring what the changes we require immediately in Kenya. The fight of corruption is something that we cannot take for granted. The other side is tepid about the fight of corruption. They barely want to talk about it. If you have a bucket that has a hole, you seal the bucket before you put water in there. So our economy needs to seal the leaking hole of corruption, and then we can tackle everything else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maurice, so much. Very precise and to the point of a leaking bucket. I don't know if Newton thinks they need to seal the hole or buy a new bucket. Newton, what's your say, sir?
My thought is this on corruption, and I'll just repeat it. We need to institutionalize the fight against corruption, make the bodies that deal with the vice independent, and empower them to handle these things so that no one is above the law. And the other bit is this. This country is bigger than myself, Maurice, Margaret, and yourself, Ellie. Elections will come and go. And as Kenya Kwanza, we commit to a peaceful coexistence. After 9th, if we win, or when we win, please. Another surety I want to give to the diaspora community is that whatever Margaret has raised, especially building up a ministry that deals with foreign or the diaspora community, it has been enshrined in our manifesto. And it is clearly done as a commitment, not as a promise. It's not something that we are promising. And come 9th, what I'm telling Kenyan voter is, both in the diaspora, in the Kenyan community, we are saying this. 9th is the date with our future. It's a date of the interest of the Kenyan people, the common man. It is not about the big names. It's about the common person. Come out and vote, because your vote will determine your future, will determine your tomorrow. Be the judge, because you have been judged wrongly, especially my presidential candidate. But we believe in God, that God will see us through. Indeed, it has been a gracious moment to be this far, but it was a great competition, and we believe for the best. We look forward for a peaceful coexistence after 9th.
I just remembered, sio siri, ama sio nini ni maombi. Let's see how your prayers will sail you through this. But before I let each of you loose, I want to say this, and it's a point of concern. A viewer watching us has questioned the issue of circulative material that was edited to picture or paint the DP in a way to be soliciting for violence from a certain community. What you say, sir, I would need you to look into this camera and speak about pre and post-election peace. Let's start with you, Maurice.
Rife. Campaign season is rife with am I muted?
Proceed, sir.
Oh yeah, campaign season is rife with manipulation. I don't condone those treacherous type of misrepresentation of what's going on. It has happened in both sides. It happens even all over the world. There's always those deceptive images and posts that come out on social media. It is wrong to do that, and I hope that we can control it. And I urge people to be critical about the kind of information they consume. Ask yourself if this sounds credible. If it doesn't sound credible, dig further. Unfortunately, most people don't think that way. So we'll continue to have those kind of things run around, but it's not a good thing.
Can you hear me?
Kindly proceed, Margaret.
Yes. So regarding post-electoral violence, I also saw that the videos that were circulating, and there are many from both sides. There are many people who are just having some inflammatory remarks that really could make some people get into a situation whereby they want to cause violence. So what I'm going to say about it is this is just very clear. And I'm going to use examples here. I'm going to be very fast. The sons and daughters of Raila Amolo Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto know each other. So if any of their children are in trouble, they're going to call those people, say, come and help me out. These people are going to help them. So we, as the electorate, have more power than we think we do. Yeah. So if somebody is trying to manipulate you, do not get manipulated. Do not get that. You have the power to stop it. You have to stop it. Because even if somebody is going at a podium and saying, do this and do that, you have to do it. So why are you doing it for? Why are you harming your neighbor? Yet when you need help, it's not your neighbor you're going to go to. When you need, you're sick, you want to add people to WhatsApp group. You're not going to add Raila Amolo Odinga or Ruto or Uhuru. You're going to add that Kisi, that Luo, that whatever. So really, I think people should look at what is really important in their life and not use elections to cause violence. We saw how children were burned in churches. We saw how people were killed. This is really not where we need to go to. We need to really have a peaceful elections, and the results, we also have to not to really manipulate others. Think about your neighbor. Think about the person who's next to you. You're not a billionaire. Don't go out there with a stone or an arrow. No, it's not helping, because when there's chaos, those billionaires are gonna leave with a helicopter. Their children are not going to be anywhere. So to Kenyans listening to me, especially back home, do not get manipulated to get into violence. Not at all. It's not going to help you. The bills later, it's you who's going to add your friends to a WhatsApp group and not any other person. So really, I encourage you to get out and vote and have a peaceful election. There's life after election, and we only have one Kenya that we really need to have. We don't want to start fleeing to other countries. It's our country. You, the citizens, have more power than any politician. Thank you.
On 2 videos. There's one video of a song sung by Sauti Sol, Tano Tena. Honestly speaking, I watched that video and I was like, have we gotten to this extent? It's painful to see such videos circulate. And the other one is when someone intentionally modifies or edits a video when William Ruto was speaking in Osingishu, just to stir up emotions between two people, between two communities. That was not right, and we condemn it in the strongest terms possible. The last one on this, as I said, politics will come and go, but this country will remain forever. As Kenyans, let us go exercise our right. And again, let us protect ourselves by being peaceful in a way that appreciates the coexistence, the different cultures that we have, the different tribes that we have in this country. Let us all be one, united as Kenyan. And tomorrow, those who are watching us, we're having a national prayer and peace festival at KICC. They can come and join us, because we have said, as young people, we have one common name, a youth. And we stand for peace, because we tend to be used, to be financed, to cause this chaos. And as Margaret said, the 4 elite presidential candidates will go somewhere and laugh about our actions. So let us be wise this time round. Cast your vote, make it count, but don't cause violence because the other person has not won, or the person you are supporting has not won. Kenya is bigger than any one of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen and lady that were here tonight. We have had a great conversation. And of course, I cannot repeat enough. We must ensure we have a peaceful election into the 9th of August. We shall be covering these events live from whichever parts of the world that we are possible to come through. And we will ensure that we report things as they are. We shall not manipulate, and we do not lean on any side. We lean on the side of the truth and nothing but the truth. I do want to wish you a very great day, Maurice, all the way in the US. It's still morning, or rather early afternoon over there. And good night to you, Margaret. Thank you so much for coming in and being very passionate about the diaspora affairs. Thank you so much, Newton, for being a gentleman and expressing your way into this show without fear of being victimized by these two here. See you when you see us. On Monday, we'll be coming live. On Tuesday, we'll be coming live from Germany and the rest of the world. And definitely, we want the president we want to be the program each of us are watching. Remember to share, like, and follow the Arts in Heart on all social media handles. And of course, I will allow these gentlemen to give their handles as we move out of the studios. Let's start with you, Maurice.
Yeah, my handle is at Maurice Ndole, or for my media company at the Hot Seat News. So link up with me on Twitter, and I will continue our conversation. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
My Twitter handle is at Hamasi Newton. Always ready and determined to fight for the good interest of the country. I request Morris and Margaret, please, you have 3 days to consider changing your vote for William Ruto. Thank you.
That's a nice one.
We love you, Newton, but that ain't gonna happen.
My Twitter handle is
There 3 days, bro.
Yeah, Mad Ralph. Like you can read there. Thanks, Eli, for putting it there, because sometimes people don't catch it when I just say it. Yes, and thanks everyone.
Great rides, great night, have a great weekend. Pigeni sherehe, lakini mukumbuke kuna life after elections. You need that money, so keep the money safe. Good night. God bless you guys.
Good night.